We've been exploring Alaska and I've had such a great time exploring from Fairbanks to Anchorage and everything in between. Summers in Alaska are typically pretty rainy and the weather's cleared up, so we're going to take advantage of that as we make our way south towards Whittier. We have a few stops that we're so excited for on our way there.
This morning we're starting off in Girdwood and we are starting at Alyeska Resort. This is a super popular resort in the winter for skiing and in the summer for mountain biking and hiking. And there's a tram that actually takes you to the top of the mountain. It's 2,200 feet of elevation, but we decided in 2 miles we're gonna hike up that 2,200 feet of elevation and we are super excited. This is the tram behind us and we're hiking all the way to the top. We have just started the trail and I think this is the 4th bear warning sign that we've seen since starting, so we might run into a bear on this hike. The trail starts off so easy, a walk in the park, then you start inclining, but I'm really glad there's no bugs.
We do this every single time we get on long hikes. We see the end and we're like, we're almost there. I mean, it's all the way up there. I would say we're not almost there. Maybe it's to make ourselves feel better, but this hike actually isn't that hard. Despite me breathing this way, we're actually just talking. And so it's kind of funny because this is probably one of the most beautiful hikes we've done in Alaska. The day is just so gorgeous. Skies are blue, clouds are moody right over the mountain, and the bugs aren't too bad, which makes for an overall amazing experience.
All of a sudden, you're just hiking and you walk through this snow. I don't even know how there's still snow up here because it's like 60 degrees sunny. But look at this, there's tons of snow. And then you see behind us just the green mountains. Super interesting.
We can finally see the tram building behind us, and we got to this fork in the road that said go this way for the tram top picnic area and go this way for the Northface trail. Pretty sure they both went to the same spot because we were looking at a map and they did, but the one we picked is the Northface trail, and I don't know if you can see it, but this is switchback after switchback. The other way looked a lot easier, but we've already committed to this side. We made it to the top and we only saw a few people on trail and they were so friendly, and there's a lot of people up here, so that shows that a lot of people do take the gondola up, and the ride down for us is going to be free. But look at this view. There are clouds behind us and the mountains look unreal, and there's water running over here. It is so beautiful and the hike was so worth it.
Once you get to the top, there's an observation deck with beautiful views. There's a restaurant and some other things you can check out, and a lot of hiking trails. We were thinking about doing some hiking trails, but there's something we want to do back in the town, and it closes in just an hour, so we're going to take our 7-minute tram down now. over to the bake shop, which is a super cute bakery, and it serves breakfast and lunch. And we got two different things. We got a sandwich that has turkey and some pepper jack cheese, I believe, and then a chicken and vegetable soup. And the bread that they use is a sourdough bread that they make here from a sourdough starter that they've had for almost 100 years now, which is just so crazy to think about, and I'm really excited to try it. And the second thing that we got is a sweet roll. It looks like a cinnamon roll, but it is not. It has caramel in it, and it's topped with lemon drizzle and also some almonds. It smells so good. And then check out all this butter they put on the plate to go with it. So we're super excited to try these. Of course, we have to go salty first. We always like to end with sweet, so let's start with the sandwich. The flavor profile of this is so good. There's chipotle mayo in here, which just adds a really nice kick. It's kind of like a grilled cheese with turkey, chipotle mayo. It's so good, and the bread is delicious. You can tell it is made with love.
That sandwich was out of this world, and we kind of cheated a little bit and dipped our sandwich into the soup, because if you don't already know this about me, I kind of like mixing everything together and trying it just together. And so we're going to try the soup by itself, because we haven't done that yet. And it just looks delicious, it smells delicious, it's full of vegetables, corn, onions, tomatoes, and chicken. This might be the only piece of chicken though, so I'm gonna try it with the chicken. Wow. This is the perfect soup for after a hike. While it is a little warm outside once you're done hiking, this just is so homey and refreshing, and the vegetables, it just makes me feel like I'm eating healthy today, you know? It evens out that chipotle mayo with some vegetables. Now that we finish all of our salty food, it's time for the sweet food, and they put enough butter next to this sweet roll to, like, I don't know, put on 10 pounds. That's a lot of butter, but if you use that much, kudos to you. I don't think I'm gonna use that much. It looks like a cinnamon roll. I'm not sure it's gonna taste like one, so I'm gonna get a little cut, put a little butter on it, because obviously they put that there for a reason, and I'll let you know my thoughts. So upon looking at it, it looks a little dry, and then I cut it, and it doesn't feel as dry. But I'm thinking they put the butter there because it's like a nice mixture of dry but not dry. Let's give it a try. So the butter is definitely necessary, and not because the roll is dry. It just adds a sense of creaminess, but I love all the flavors going on here, from the lemon drizzle to the caramel flavor. It's so good.
Another thing to note here are these stunning views. So this is the bake shop behind us, and this is the view you get if you sit outside. So it's beautiful, and that food was delicious, and we 10 out of 10 recommend this spot.
If you're coming to the Girdwood area and you're not trying to hike over 2,000 feet in elevation, there's this easy hike to Virgin Creek Falls. It's only half a mile out and back with little to no elevation, and you're gifted with this beautiful waterfall at the end with moss all over the rocks and the beautiful greenery everywhere. It is stunning.
Check out this glacier just as we're driving by. You can just see glaciers on the side of the road.
We're about to hit the last trail of the day before we call it a day, and it's the Byron Glacier Trail. This trail typically takes you to a viewpoint of Byron Glacier, and there's actually the opportunity to hike onto the glacier. So the total trip is 3.2 miles. We're gonna be on the glacier, and we're so excited to be on one instead of seeing one far away in the distance.
end of the official Byron Glacier trail, and it looks like you can climb up over the rocks and get even closer or even get on the glacier, but some of the glacier around us looks like it's fallen, and so for the safety of our dogs and for us, we're just going to view it from here.
It was so awesome being able to hike over and see Byron Glacier with our eyes, not from the car and not from too far. The dogs absolutely love the winter environment with the snow and the ice. They just dig and play and go crazy. But a fun little fact about Byron Glacier is that it is the most accessible glacier on the Kenai Peninsula.
We just made it to our spot for the night, and as we were pulling down the steps, we realized that I left the dog's water bowl up here and it didn't even spill. We went to a couple different campsites to check them out and up and down some hills and stuff, and it was still on the back, and we were thinking, good thing our suspension seems like it's working pretty well. When we found this spot and saw how blue the water was, we knew after we ate dinner that we were gonna jump in the water.
Feels good though, right?
We're headed out of our beautiful spot and we're making our way towards Whittier, and there's actually only one way to get there, and that is through the Anton Anderson Memorial Tunnel.
And a fun fact about this tunnel is not only is the name super long, but it is North America's longest highway tunnel at 2.5 miles and was originally built to withstand temperatures of -4 degrees Fahrenheit and 150 mile-an-hour winds, which is crazy to think about because we've had a little bit of wind, but nothing that crazy. And also the tunnel was originally built for trains only, but with an increase in demand to get the Prince William Sound easier, they have now made it possible for cars to go through, trucks, RVs, and everything of that sort.
We just paid to go across the tunnel. It is $13 for us. If you have a big motorhome, it is a little bit more, but since we're not a motorhome and we just have a camper, it was $13, which is the same as it is for cars. And the tunnel currently is open for us going in the direction towards Whittier. It is a 1-lane tunnel, so they do close it off every half an hour. As you can see, we're literally driving on the railroad, and it is indeed 1 lane. The walls are very close and tight. And there's a line of people waiting to go back across. Whittier is 63 miles south of Anchorage, and it's a fact that it's the wettest city in the United States with 198 inches of rain and 250 inches of snow per year. The Port of Whittier is an ice-free, deep-water port located close to Anchorage and interior Alaska. So back in the day, the U.S. military planned to develop a large yet secret complex in the area for its personnel after World War II. Two large buildings were completed between 1953 and 1957 and still dominate Whittier's skyline.
The first building we want to talk about in Whittier is the Buckner building. It was finished in 1954. It was used as operational headquarters for the military. In 1964, an earthquake hit the town of Whittier. It was a pretty big earthquake. It lasted around 4.5 minutes. 13 people died, and structural damage to both federal and privately owned property was around $5 million. Thankfully, the Buckner building is actually founded. The foundation is in bedrock, opposed to a majority of the town that's just an unconsolidated sediment. So the damage to this building was little to none. Inspections were done, and supposedly structurally this building was sound. Just over time, with the windows being broken, water would get in and freeze and defrost and freeze and melt, and then the structure was actually rendered useless because of the water damage. When the building was finished, it housed 1,000 troops and had some crazy amenities. It was almost like a resort. It had a church, a grocery store, a hospital, a rifle range, a barber shop, and so much more.
The next building that we want to talk about in Whittier is the Begich Towers. Whittier is commonly described as the city under one roof, since most of its residents live in this 14-story complex. And in this complex there's also a post office, a grocery store, police station, mayor's office, and a few other things. I just can't imagine not having to leave my apartment complex to get all my errands done. The last thing that we're doing in the area is Portage Pass Trail. It's a 4.4 mile moderate trail, but unfortunately for us it's a little bit longer because at the trailhead there's only about like 10 to 15 spots, and they're all super small spots, and there was none open, so we ended up having to park at the campground, which is fine, but it adds on like a mile to our trail.
That first part of the hike has a lot of elevation, around 650 feet of elevation over a little amount of time. But look what we hiked to. This is the pass. You can see some cool stuff behind us. I'm up here. I told Ashley she has to stop, and we're gonna get a reaction. Here she comes. She hasn't seen it yet.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Getting up to this little viewpoint is amazing. You can see the glacier behind me, and there's a little pond that just shows the reflection. It's so beautiful. The trail gets super tight as you're getting close to the lake. It kind of feels like you're walking through a jungle. All of a sudden we have gotten through all the greenery and you hear the water running, and check this out. How cool is that? Bear with me for the bugs. They have just been swarming me this whole entire hike, but I don't think I've gotten bit yet. But behind me is Portage Glacier, and Portage Glacier is actually the second most visited attraction in Alaska, right behind Denali National Park. And it actually used to take up this entire valley, but over the years it's been melting and it has left behind this lake.
We spent a little bit of time looking at the glacier, but it is getting late and we have a 3-mile hike back uphill because once we hit the pass, everything goes downhill. We gotta get going. If you look close enough, you can see we're parked like right there. we made it back to the truck. That hike was so awesome, and we had such a great time exploring Whittier, Girdwood, and everything in between. And we're just so excited to see what the rest of the Kenai Peninsula has to offer. So make sure you subscribe to follow along in our adventures.